The meeting will come to order. May we please have a call of the roll?
I apologize for running behind. Commissioner Conant?
Present.
Mr. Ziegenmeyer? Here. Commissioner Boomgarden? Here. Commissioner Wooten?
Here.
Commissioner Munger? Commissioner Cochran?
Here.
Commissioner Elphick? Here. Commissioner Baines? Commissioner Shaw? I have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion, please, for the agenda.
Second.
I have moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Those no. Okay. Public comment. Anybody want to make a comment at this particular time, or go ahead?
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Heather Essman. I live in Yuba City. I'm here today 4 months later, right? We missed the meeting last time for some reason. My understanding is there's no municipal service review for fire. I'd like to bring out a couple of points at this time. There is an effort from the county to put a ballot measure in November for 1% sales tax increase. Part of that is to help support some of our services, especially fire. And my hope at least was that at this meeting we would have some sort of review that we might be able to use some of the information to help with that effort. Unfortunately, there's no report. Now, I was here last time and I apologize if for some reason there was a misunderstanding. It's not important whether or not somebody's ill or not as far as getting the business done, and it's your decision if you decide that you want to stick with a particular person. But this has incredibly impacted the county's efforts to try to help in this situation if there's any way that the report could have done something to that manner. Now, we've seen kind of some of the suggestions of the report at the March meeting, I believe, where they were talking about some of the things that might be impacted or some of their suggestions, but we can't really use that because there's no official report. We don't know what the end report's going to say, so we can't use any of that in any of our efforts trying to get more funding for fire. And I spent my own money, I bought a t-shirt and everything to come in here to tell you guys that we elected you, well, most of you, we elected you to come here and make sure that this stuff gets done. This report was supposed to be done in November of last year. So even if the report gets done in November this year, which we don't know, that's a year. I know COVID's been impacting things, but this is ridiculous. If you look at the website that you have your executive officer also doing at other counties, because he's doing like 6 other counties, MODOC has 14 municipal service review reports on its website. Ours does not. I had to ask, Paige, I had to contact Paige to even ask her about the agenda for this week and whether or not the meeting was going to occur. That was Friday. Now, I know that there's Brown Act infringements and things like that, and you say it has to be 72 days or 72 hours, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is that's like the minimum. You can still put the agenda out earlier. You all knew that this meeting was coming 2 months ago, and you didn't have the agenda out just a little bit earlier. Things need to be getting done, and they're not getting done. And I don't know what you have to do it, but something has to get done because we have a lot of really important things that LAFCO does for our community, and it just doesn't seem like it's getting done. If Modoc County has 14 municipal service reviews in the last 7 or 8 years, and there's only like 1 on our website, then there's a problem. Modoc County does not have as many people as we do. We have almost 100,000 people in this county, and they have like 15. That's an embarrassment. And because the only reason why I know this is because I was in Modoc County and I was training the California Grand Jurors Association for the grand jurors of that area, and it was embarrassment to me to have to say, you know, look at that website, and I'm looking at it thinking, God, that looks a lot better than our website does. This is just a joke. Can we see if we can't get something done, please? Thank you.
Any other public want to speak at this time? Okay. Need a motion for the approval of the minutes of the May meeting.
So moved.
Okay. Reckon moved and seconded that the minutes of the May 12th meeting be approved as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay. Item number 5, consent agenda. Need a motion for this?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second that.
Reckon moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda, and since this has money, need a call of the roll.
Commissioner Conant,
Aye.
Commissioner Ziegenmeier, Commissioner Baumgarten,
Aye.
Commissioner Wooten, Commissioner Cochran,
Yes.
Commissioner Elphick.
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Okay, item number 6 is to conduct a public hearing on regarding fire and EMS municipal services. Now we have, public hearing is now open.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Beverly Burr. I am your consultant for the fire study. I do apologize. I have had a string of bad luck in the health department. I am healthy again now, and I'm back to work. As the public commenter mentioned, we have a big reason to go ahead and get this report out for the November meeting. And that is the ballot measure. There's a ballot measure for a 1 cent sales tax the county's putting on the ballot. It's not explicitly for fire service, but it relates to fire service. And certainly in the discussion that the county had, that was one of the funding priorities along with law enforcement. There was certainly discussion that without this new sales tax, there was concern that fire service for the county might have to shift from professional back to volunteer because of budget gaps at the county. We, myself included, had made commitments to the county to get the fire MSR out in advance so that voters would be able to understand how fire service is organized and financed both here and in other areas. Your commission has already directed me to focus the MSR on financing to the degree feasible, along with the other required content. So bringing it to your commission at the November meeting means, although the Brown Act requirement, I believe, is 5 days, I think our intent is to bring it at least a week in advance. We certainly have to honor our commitments to allow the stakeholders in the process to review the empirical content about each of their fire agencies before it becomes a public document, and intend to make good on those promises. But at least having the MSR in a draft form out in the agenda package for your November meeting would have it out in advance of the election. So obviously we would love to get it out sooner because we understand it is behind schedule, and I apologize for any impact I've had on that. I certainly feel guilty and desirous of getting it out there to be of assistance to the voters as they ponder this question to the degree the fire MSR relates to the sales tax. We will certainly try to get it even before then if we possibly can. So in addition, although perhaps it doesn't bear at all on the election coming up, there's the matter of the sphere of influence update. So that's a separate report, separate item, but it could potentially be adopted at your November meeting as well. So we intend to bring that forward. At least it will be in the agenda package and available for your consideration at the November meeting. And again, I apologize for any embarrassment that my run of bad luck in the health department has caused your commission. And I certainly hope to exonerate myself with completing this for you for this meeting, for the next meeting. Did you have any questions?
Through the chair? Hi.
Hi.
I'm just hoping that we had some discussion about the pre-hospital emergency medical care component of the MSR study. Just want to reemphasize, I had a meeting yesterday with the ambulance president. They're still a major component of what's going on with both fire as far as pre-hospital emergency medical care and then transporting patients to the hospital. So as long as fire is going to be involved in that, I think EMS is just as important. It makes up a vast majority of the fire department's calls. So I know you and I have chatted about that. I'm just reemphasizing the fact that there needs to be some discussion about the ability or inability to deliver pre-hospital emergency medical care in that study.
And I guess the level of service as well.
Absolutely.
And are you also concerned with EMDR? With emergency medical dispatch instruction type component to that, or is this primarily the care?
I'll be honest, I'd have to defer to my colleagues in the county. We do EMD in the city already. I don't know if that component's being delivered.
The county does through the Sheriff Department does that as well.
So would that be just,
In some of the rural communities, it's really challenging, obviously, to have adequate medical care when you're a half-hour drive from the nearest ambulance before they get there. So, but it seems to be working. Is it perfect? No. Can we do better? Hopefully in the future. But, they're having staffing issues. The AMS service is having trouble getting qualified applicants to drive ambulances, and I've had several discussions with them as well about how they're doing with that. It's challenging. This whole environment of having employees that work on an ongoing basis, both in the county and the city, we're all short-handed. And the fire ambulance service is no different. And I think in time this will correct itself. I'm hoping. Are we in for a new way of society operates where people want to work? I guess.
Through the chair, Beverly, will you be able to get this information to the ad hoc committee before submitting it, as you were talking about?
well,
5 days won't cut it.
no. I'll give you more. Hopefully you can review it. We can schedule maybe the time increment for your review, so it wouldn't be too many days.
Well, if we're going to be right up against the deadline of the November election, that doesn't seem very good. And for people to assimilate the information that are going to be voting, we need it before that.
Of course.
What can you do to get it, and when can you get it to us, to at least the ad hoc committee, so we can talk to LAFCO here, this committee? And I also think that we should meet before the November committee meeting.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was thinking, I wondered if it might make sense to have something brief prepared way earlier that
Yes.
might be rather concise and only, highlight, lowlight kind of thing, but get more information out there on account of this upcoming election. And it would be very nice to be able to confer with you and John about doing something, whether you think that's a good idea. And
Well, this is the 8th of the month, so that gives us, if you got it to us by the middle of October or the first week in October, that still gives you almost a month to write the.
but remember, there's writing, there's review from staff, there's submitting to.
I know, but I think that can be expedited considering that we've waited a whole year, and we're at election time. This is really very important, our fire protection, and we're asking the community to increase their taxes by 1%. We're already, not us, but culture here, increasing all the cost for people that are living in this county. So we better have some very good reasons, and we should be able to explain, not just us, but the fire department, the people involved in it trying to push it through. So if we can't do that, like I say, with a moment's notice, we have to have something that we can actually go through and understand.
Understood. I mean, I think some of the content in the MSR that might be, besides the sort of how is fire service organized here, the basics, which obviously would be and the response time statistics. I think another piece that might be particularly of interest to the voters, I'm assuming, if I was a voter, I would be interested, is how does the compensation and financing here compare with elsewhere? And for example, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but that's something that I think I would have and want to have in my head if I was deciding how I would vote. And I do want to be sure that in preparing that's accurate, and that certainly before we put a document out to the public. That said, I want to give you as much review time as I can and as far in advance as I can, and also producing an accurate document. So maybe one idea, and I'd have to see what John thinks, to what degree there could be simultaneous review as long as the subcommittee is able to keep the document from becoming a public document during its
Absolutely,
review process.
that I could review it concurrently with the subcommittee. There's no reason for me to see it earlier.
But John, how do you feel about a meeting of this LAFCO committee before the November?
I have no problem with it.
Okay, if we could, if,
You have to set
Committee
a
members.
time, and
Problem moving it up, I'm wondering if we can't. Do you have an ETA?
Look, can I get my calendar out?
Yeah. Through the chair, Mr. Cochran? I think the whole notion of trying to get this before people get a ballot, the ballots have to be in the voters' hands by October 10th. That's the fact right now. And so I would hate to get into a rush job to try to get something. I understand the urgency of getting information out to the public, but there are going to be ballots in people's hands by the 10th, not on or after, but by the 10th. And I'm not sure when our clerk is going to be sending those out, but I would imagine it'll be in advance of that. The second thing is, and this may be a question for council, I think we've got to be very, very careful about getting involved in a sales tax measure and pros and cons from a governmental agency.
I just went through the chair. I didn't mean it in that manner if that's how it was taken. What I'm saying is information, the facts.
No,
That's what has to get out there. And just like the county now is presenting this 1% sales tax, you have to have the information and the facts also. I mean, as a voter, I'd want to know, okay, what is the percentage of breakdown on that 1%? Where does it go? And if I didn't know that as a voter, I'd say no.
Through the chair, I completely agree with sooner than later. We have a lot of conferences that a lot of us are going to be taking part of in the next 3 months, but we will make the time to make sure that we're here. If you get that, if we have to call, all we need is 48 hours to call a meeting. And we're all aware of that. We just want to look at something as soon as possible, get it through all the hands it takes, because we have to get facts out in the people's hands, facts.
I understand. I want to be sure I'm clear, though. Are you referring to the subcommittee in terms of the 48 hours notice? Because I thought
go through
the
the subcommittee
subcommittee's
first.
meeting was
It would have to go through the subcommittee
private
first,
matter?
then,
In this committee.
yeah.
I don't think any of us are trying to, we can't, this group cannot oppose it or support it. All we can do is get the data to the people.
Exactly.
They weigh the data and say, hey, this is what we need or don't need. It's their decision, the voters' decision, but we need to get them that information.
I have a question for Commissioner Baumgarten. Are you saying that October 10th is when people will receive their absentee ballots and potentially start casting their votes?
Everybody gets a ballot through the mail now, and by governor's order, those ballots have to be in hand by October 10th is the information that's been presented to me.
Okay. Well, I wonder, John, how you feel about having a conference call with you and me and the subcommittee members soon, like maybe tomorrow or next week, about having a brief item that we can have ready definitely before October 10th, and still moving forward, just like an extract of what we can pull from the MSR to get out there timely in case we can't have a fully vetted document ready for release to the public on October 10th. Is that?
Anything would be helpful.
Yeah, through the chair, that information is not only helpful to the voter down the road, but to the county. Because you have to make decisions, and the more information you have on, turnaround time or appearance time, what's happening with the amount of people and the calls that are happening, that kind of information is going to be very important to this county for selling the 1%.
Well, assuming the subcommittee wants to proceed with having some kind of extract available earlier than the MSR, would that perhaps kind of be focused on, well, when would that need to get out? Do you have a sense? That would need to be at least a week before they receive their ballots, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We're getting really condensed here on time.
Well, that seems achievable, and it'd be helpful to talk with you about it, the subcommittee, if we can, is that okay, John? Okay. If we could. That'd be perfect. To decide what content, I would assume you want at least the service configuration and the finance and high points on service configuration and financing. But I'd like to hear what you want. In the brief that would be out before they receive their absentee ballots.
Okay. So will we cover that information next week on the phone call?
One thing I need some clarification. The subcommittee consists of 3 commissioners. You, Mike, and Mark. Correct? Or 4?
I couldn't hear the last 2 names.
It's a subcommittee, so.
Turn your mic on,
Does this thing
please.
work? Oh. Yeah, so there's 4 of you on the subcommittee. Okay, so we'll have to notice it. Okay. So it would be next week, we would just do a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I'll be, through the chair, sorry. I'll be at RCRC next week from Tuesday to Friday, but I'll be able to take part in any meeting. Yeah. Yeah, I'll still be available.
Okay, all right, so we'll,
Matt, are you going to that? All right.
let me get a little more detail. How about on Thursday, the 15th? Is that okay with you, or would you prefer Wednesday?
It would work for me, through the chair, it'd work for me, but like I said, I don't know about Mark and, okay.
Not that it matters, and I do feel so guilty, but the earlier the better for me.
I agree with you. So, I mean, I could even do Wednesday if need be. Like I said, I just want to ask my fellow colleagues.
Let's do Wednesday then.
As long as you do it before 3 on it.
Okay, any other public comment at this time?
Can I say thank you?
Sure can.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to take my time off from work to come here. So I promise you, when the report's out, you won't see my face anymore. How about that? Thank you.
Okay, no further public comment. I'll close the public hearing at this time. Item number 7. John, you want to review the conflict of interest? Fine. Okay, next item is status of the annexation to the Gilsizer drainage. John?
Excuse me, John, is your mic on? It doesn't.
The Gilsizer's annexations, there's 5 of them, and 4, I think, how many did I say? There's 4 annexations to the city. Remember the Baines annexation, Kells East and Kells West, Basray. What's happened is they're all been recorded, so all those areas are in the city at this time. There's a required BOE Board of Equalization filing. Well, after numerous emails, in fact, one just last week, some during the process, the auditor's office has failed to give me a letter of tax rate area assignment. Because this county is a consolidated county, that letter is required. In the county next door, Yuba County, it's not required because they're not a consolidated county. I know the county assessor went through a lot of work getting the tax rate areas, this is really nerdy stuff, but getting the tax rate areas consolidated for the county. If I don't get the letter, in about a month, I'm going to file them anyway. And I'll file them, and they could all be rejected. There's not much of a problem with the Gilsizer annexations because they're all zero tax exchange between Gilsizer and the city and the county. There's no changes there. But with the city annexations, there is. There will be the Board of Equalization or the assessor will not apportion, or the auditor will not apportion the taxes that are due to the city. The only way that could be done is for the city and the county to reach an agreement. But I think they have to negotiate an agreement, which is pretty much in the tax sharing agreement, but both the council and the board would need to agree that we're going to, this is the way it's going to be. We're going to implement these tax sharing agreements for the tax year, I think it's 2023 and 24. I don't want to have to do that. I just want these to go to the Board of Equalization, get finalized, they send the notices, they send the acknowledgement notices back to me, and the project is done. This has taken a lot of time, numerous emails. The assessor's been notified, the auditor's been on every email. And the guy that does this in the auditor's office retired. So there's someone else there that is working on it. I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and if these have failed to be approved by the BOE, it's not my fault. Period. I mean, I don't want to be blamed for that. So, but I'm just really, it kind of annoys me. Does the county want to be in the consolidated system or not? And I'm getting the impression they don't want to be by the failure of acting on this. They don't have to be. It's advisable, though. It's very clean, the system. Colusa County's in it, for example. Yuba is not. And various counties are, and a lot of them don't want to get into it because there's a lot of work that is done. So the county has done a lot of work on this in the past, or the assessor's office has. So anyway, that's really it. It's just basically a discussion. These are the things that the commissioners don't know because you don't deal with it at all. But it's part of the process. So anyway, and we
Through the chair,
just need to be aware of it.
what is the definition? I mean, what is the difference between a consolidated county and a non-consolidated county? I hate to sound stupid, but I don't know.
Well, I can give you about a 50-page primer on it, but I'm going to save it for a couple sentences here. The BOE does have a primer on it, and believe me, you'll be asleep in half a page. What it is it was basically a way to consolidate these various tax rate areas. These tax rate areas have, like, one tax rate area may have the city, the Gil-Sizer Drainage District, CSA, whatever, what's the CSA? C? I don't remember, the one that's in the city. It may have the Flood Control District, may have the RCD. And so this is a unique geographic area. Next to it is a series of other districts that are taxing agencies. I shouldn't say districts. School districts are in this. Other districts that are not reviewed by LAFCO, for school districts, for example. But the counties that are not consolidated, they'll have geographic areas, separate ones, that have the same attributes. So the assessor goes through and he consolidates these things, and that's what they call a consolidated county. So that's what it is. And it's just one of these things that during the process, we get a list of the assessor parcel numbers and from the assessor. In this case, it's GIS in this county. And the auditor does the apportionments and sends it all to the BOE with the letter, the recommended assignment. Otherwise, the BOE doesn't know what to do. That's Board of Equalization, so you guys probably all know.
But who's not getting back to you?
The auditor's office. They have to send me a letter of TRA assignment.
That's county or state?
That's county. And then we send that along with the package to the state, that letter. If they don't have the letter, they'll be calling or writing a rejection letter and sending a copy to the auditor and the assessor and to me, and probably to the city, I'm not sure. So it just has to get done. It's just one of these things that, you know, we're all ran by these little taxes and assessments or whatever. Even the assessments won't get included in the for the annexation. So if there's special assessments out there that are extended into a new annexation area, they won't get levied. So it's just it's more work than to do it. It's really an easy task. That's what's bothering me about it. And, you know, maybe they should consider it. I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's a good idea. They've invested the time and the effort. They've got to just finish it. Just got to do it. So just be aware that that's going on, and they get a kind of a weekly email from me. Where is this? I have everything else. Like I said, I have all the Board of Equalization fees, the information for the city. We recorded documents that document that these areas are in the city or Gil-Sizer.
So
Well,
it's all done
through
except
the
that
chair.
small piece.
John, would it help if the chair wrote a letter to the county?
County auditor. I would definitely talk to the county auditor rather than the staff.
Would that help get this?
Maybe it would get it off dead center.
What do you think?
John, write the letter, I'll sign it probably.
Okay.
I'll have to draft it because it is somewhat technical.
Yes.
I'll make it short though, but it would
Okay,
be
very good.
whack.
Okay, next item is number 9, which is appoint a voting member and an alternate to the Cal LAFCO Annual Conference in Newport Beach. Anybody want to go?
Through the chair, I believe, I know I'm going, and I believe Supervisor Baines is going. I believe Councilmember Boomgarner is going.
Right.
Now, Mark, this is you've been there before, haven't you? So I would assume, I would rather you vote. You've been there before, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
You want to be the member?
I would make a motion then to,
The voting member? And you're going to be the alternate?
yeah, I'll be the alternate.
Okay, fine, then it's done. Okay, moving right along. Number 10 is, John, your report, please.
Well, hold on. For,
You done? No.
No.
We haven't voted though.
We did the biennial status, the avoiding member.
Yeah, we did. We voted Mark as the voting member, myself as the alternate.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
passed unanimous.
You need to vote on this.
No, that was voted on. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why I was thinking that was. I'm so sorry. I thought that was.
Okay, so we got the voting member and the alternate.
Yes.
Okay, John, you're on.
Okay, I'm just going to talk about,
We still didn't vote, yeah.
did you guys vote? I'm going to not do anything until you.
Ready for roll call?
Pardon?
You need to ask for a vote.
It says
Mr.
appoint, it does not say vote. It says
right.
appoint,
You're right.
so you're appointed,
Good deal.
okay?
I actually think the commission should vote on the appointment.
Roll call.
Commissioner Conant? Commissioner Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Baumgarten?
Yes.
Commissioner Wooten?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran?
Yes,
Commissioner Elphick?
Yes.
okay, so we voted. Next time we'll put down to vote on it, not to appoint. So, okay, John,
The LAFCO, SB 938 was signed. SB 938, as you know, is the protest provisions for a LAFCO-initiated merger, consolidation, other actions that are before, that LAFCO has the authority to do. The protest rate was 10%. The protest 10% is virtually nothing. It's easy to kill a LAFCO action. This bill creates a 25% protest threshold, which is just like something initiated by a district or somebody else, or petition or something else other than LAFCO. That's the first part of this bill. The second part of this bill is, I call it the Msr Follow-Up Policy. If we find certain things in the service review, like a documented chronic service provisions, we'd spent public funds unlawfully.
Excuse me, John, is your mic on? I can't hear you very well.
Well, it's on, but I guess I have to talk into the mic, right?
A little bit, please, thank you.
Oh, okay. So if the district has shown willful neglect in failing to consistently adhere to the Public Records Act, that's an issue. It's failed to meet minimum number of times required in the Principal Act during a prior calendar year. Some districts do have that requirement. The city or the district has consistently failed to perform timely audits. The district's recent annual audits show chronic issues with the district's finances or mismanagement. I think that's it. That's the main items. If we find those in a service review, that we have the option, you don't have to, we have the option of holding a public hearing and asking the district to correct the situation, and they have a year to do it, and then in a year, we hold another public hearing, LAFCO would, should the district, to determine if the district failed or met the requirements. And if they have, then it's dropped. But if they haven't, then we've got some work to do about dissolving them, consolidating them, appointing the successor agencies. There's a whole bunch of hoops that one would have to go through. So anyway, that was SB 938. So we have now an Msr Follow-Up Policy. This takes effect January 1st. And it's going to apply to all service reviews done. And it will change LAFCO's authority with respect to service reviews. So service reviews may be written a little different in the past or be clearer on just what deficiencies do exist, rather than saying, well, their finances are a wreck. Well, we have to do a little more than that. So that's that. There'll be at the Cal LAFCO conference, for those of you that are going, there'll be a discussion of that bill. The next is I've been contacted by one of the city attorneys, Yuba City, about the Tierra, Buena, Yuba City Subsidiary District. And that is in an area for an annexation. Come on, I can't remember the name of that subdivision, Doug. The subdivision we were talking about yesterday? Stonegate. Stonegate. This was formed as a CSD in the late 90s. It was in the unincorporated. It was in the county to provide sewer service. And then later on, it was converted in the early 70s to early 2000s into what they call a city subsidiary district. City subsidiary district allows the city to provide a service outside its territorial boundaries as long as it's less than 30%. So now that area has been annexed, so the district no longer serves a function. So we will probably, I guess the council will do a resolution of application to dissolve this district, and it'll come back to LAFCO. And there's no need for the subsidiary district, so it's a good idea just to get it off the books. So that's that one. The last one is the three attending the Cal LAFCO conference. Grace Espindola is not on the commission. Dave Shaw is. And so that's the 19th through the 21st. You'll probably be leaving the evening of the 18th, I guess. And it's whatever your pleasure is. But it's awfully early to make it to a mobile workshop or a LAFCO 101, whichever you've chosen to go to. So I'm going to end it at that.
Through the chair, how did Grace even get put on there?
She was on it, but I did not receive a letter from the code review. I'm sorry, from the ABA. The Mayor's Select Committee. I need to receive a letter from the Mayor's Select Committee saying who's on LAFCO. They send these letters out to the Transportation Commission and probably numerous other, air pollution maybe, of who the representatives are. And so the clerk to the Mayor's Select Committee is the clerk to the Board of Supervisors. I know there's been some transition going on there, but in the future, it would be great if I got a letter of who is appointed to LAFCO. We had this issue in Yuba County, and that was a big kerfuffle.
But wouldn't Grace have known personally, though? Did she put
She may have
herself on
known,
there?
but, you know, they got to tell me.
I actually spoke with her. I called her personally, and she didn't indicate that she was no longer on LAFCO. She was in agreement. She wanted to attend, and that's how that happened.
Yeah, she wants to attend, but if she's not on LAFCO, that's an issue.
It seemed as if she didn't know. So
Yeah. Oh, well, anyway, we've gotten to the bottom of it. And I don't have anything else. Well, nothing else. It'll come out in the service review report when we talk about Sutter Point. Well, I'll know a little bit more about that in a few
Is
days.
that it, John?
Yes,
Is that it?
that's it.
Okay, fine. Next item is anything from the commissioners. We appointed a committee last meeting to meet with the executive officer for his contract. Matt Conant and Baumgartner were the members appointed. Did you meet with the,
Through the chair, I'd actually, pertaining towards that, what I would like to ask for is actually a closed session hearing right before the next meeting to discuss that as a group. So before we discuss it even further, if that's all right with constituents. Yes, that would be a closed session. Yeah, so the topic would just be executive director and so forth. And then,
so we'll do that at the next meeting before the meeting?
that is correct. Then we can report or report out of
Okay,
when we come back.
fine.
too.
That's good. Any other commissioner, anything to say?
Sorry, through the chair, last thing I want to talk to, I know I've been working with the city, Ben Moody. We've been kind of discussing in our city and county meetings about the possibility and what it would take for the county to connect in a certain area to city sewer and what that would intake. Been told it's been done with other cities and other counties in certain areas for growth. So I think that's a discussion I'd really like to have out in the open sooner than later.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, I don't know how detailed we want to get into it, but it's definitely, there's been some talk between the city and the county with the intergovernment agency meetings as far as where can we provide sewer, what's our ability to do it, what's some funding options, and where can that go? It gets a little tricky when it's outside the sphere of influence, and then how that looks. And so it really, with sewer, it's so specific on where the existing infrastructure is at that we really nail down a certain spot. But then
Exactly.
if you nail down a spot, then it comes into what the cost is and how do you provide that service. And so it depends on where the group wants to go as far as if it's city-county partnership or how they want to move forward based on the site.
Do you have any thoughts on what your areas you?
Well, okay, so we've had a developer approach us and this is not on the agenda, but this is going to be put on the agenda, so I'm just going to talk about it. At the intersection of Township and 20 about a possible hospital and a few developmental offices and so forth right there on the corner of Township and 20, where the Welcome to Your City sign is. And these talks are getting a little serious here. So.
Through the chair, isn't that outside of the sphere of influence?
It is.
That's what he's talking about. Can they do that? It's been done in other areas, but.
I think the bigger question is, do we want to do it? County, I guess, yeah.
Cities had through the chair, cities had a long-standing policy about extraterritorial service outside of the city. And I think I am aware that there is interest in doing that. That's going to have to take council action to rescind a guideline / policy that's been in place for quite a long time. So Mike, to your point, I don't know that it's really fruitful here. I think it's probably best still handled between the county and the city. I think everyone would be interested in having more medical capabilities on our side of the river. It's just migrating through the process of discussing what that looks like and if that's going to be precedent setting, et cetera. So I would signal to you that there's interest.
No, that's good. I just want to get it out there, so something we could be discussion in the future. All right, thank you, guys.
I have, through the chair, just real quick, if we were looking at September 14th, I have a development impact fee meeting at 8 and a habitat for humanity, or excuse me, home key meeting at 10. So if that meeting could be at 9, I can probably squeeze that in. That would be for the abbreviated MSR.
Okay, any other thing from commissioners? If not, this meeting stands adjourned until 2 p.m. on November 10.